So, after a crazy last week of hyped up or hype fight announcements that we got from Dana White, where we got a bunch of announcements for the month of April and May, we got some stuff for June as well. It's not official, but there's some movement now in the women's bantamweight division, just like there was movement in the women's flyweight division. Now we got word on when the Bullet is back and defending her belt. We also got word on when the Venezuelan Vixen is back and defending her belt. And apparently, word on the streets, it's June 7th against Kayla Harrison. I'm about to watch another one of my women's MMA favorites get absolutely dominated and embarrassed, and then it's going to be back to dealing with these annoying Pena haters who are going to say she was never good and got a fluke win over Amanda and won her belt back via robbery and was only champ because of lucky circumstances or got lucky in both title fights. And she's going to get dominated on her first ever defense again, which sucks. It's tough. I mean, Juliana Pena could be a defending champion, but unfortunately, she was, unfortunate enough to share an era with Amanda Nunes. She had Nunes still in her division at the time, hungry and motivated to get that revenge, which she did when she really locked in. And now, with Nunes gone, and when you think she might be safe, oh wait, you got Kayla Harrison in her division. You got Kayla Harrison, the female Brock Lesnar, basically the man, or the woman with man strength in the women's bantamweight division with really strong grappling. That's a horrible matchup for Juliana Pena. Juliana could defend her belt if it's like a Norma Dumont, Reina Aldana, or Raquel Pennington in a rematch. But of course, right when she gets the belt back is right when Kayla Harrison has joined the UFC. So of course Juliana's not going to defend her belt, which really annoys me. But that's not it. We also got Kai Kara-France versus Alexandre Pantoja, which was rumored to take place actually at 3/14, but I guess they're moving it a couple months later. And this pay-per-view is supposed to take place in Newark, New Jersey, which, hey, I mean, it's a pretty decent pair of title fights. But I worry this card's going to suck. With them stacking up, UFC 314 and 315, usually when we have like a good 2 to 3 string of pay-per-views, the fourth one following is never as good in terms of, name value. Because look at what happened when we got UFC 298, 299, and 300. Then we had 301, which actually was pretty decent when it played out, but Pantoja headlined, but the card beneath it wasn't that strong, and then UFC 302 only had one good fight, Islam and Poirier. Every other fight was with a bunch of bums and no-names, and the co-main was a bore fest between Costa and Strickland, and I fear that with this pay-per-view, they're not really going to put in much effort. I mean, Pantoja's a great fighter, but I've never really been a fan of him carrying a pay-per-view on his own or headlining a pay-per-view. I did not like him headlining UFC 301, though I understood it because it was in Brazil. And I did not like him headlining 310, which was due to circumstances because Bilal pulled out of the Shavkat fight and they didn't make the Ian Gary fight versus Shavkat for the interim title. But I mean, I do think that Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France is going to be a great fight. Very entertaining. I do believe that Kai Kara-France actually has a very good style to go up against Pantoja. Not to say that he'll beat Pantoja, but I think he's got a decent shot. I mean, he's got the knockout power, the superior boxing against Pantoja. He's very good defensively on the ground, very hard to submit, and good at getting back to his feet. And he's got very good 5-round cardio. And we know Pantoja does kind of slow down as the fight goes on, but not Kai Kara-France. And finishing Kai on the ground is going to be tough. And I mean, on the feet, like I said, Kai does have the better striking. Now, Pantoja has a granite chin. He's never been knocked out before. And he himself has some power of his own. And he's also pretty good on the feet. But I just feel like if anyone can actually handle Pantoja in these wild, chaotic exchanges, it's Kai Kara-France, and I believe Kai does have enough power to maybe make Pantoja pay, and it's possible he could be the one to crack that chin. But it's more than likely that Pantoja is going to get his, fourth title defense. He's already beaten Kai Kara-France way back when, on The Ultimate Fighter in 2016. 9 years later, both guys are much improved and in the prime of their careers. But I just think Pantoja is just the more elite of the two fighters. He's clearly one of the greatest, flyweights of all time. Second greatest after Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. And he's just on a roll right now. I mean, Kai Kara-France is literally like 1-2 in his last 3 fights. He bounced back against Steve Erceg after coming off a 2-fight losing streak. And he already got destroyed in his first fight for the belt against Brandon Moreno. It was for the interim title. And we saw Pantoja beat Brandon Moreno. So it's hard to confidently say that Kai Kara-France is going to be the one to do it, but I wouldn't be shocked if he got the upset. I just think that Pantoja's style, at the end of the day, is going to be too much for him. He's got the chin, so he can take the punches of Kai Kara-France, even if Kai does connect. He can take damage, he can dish it right back, and the grappling, the takedowns are always going to be there for Pantoja. And even though Kai is hard to take down, I do think he will get taken down. And even though he's hard to submit, I still think that Pantoja is going to get him in these bad dominant positions where even if he can't get a rear naked choke, he's still going to be winning rounds through riding the back of Kai Kara-France. And we've seen Amir Albazi almost choke out Kai Kara-France, ride his back throughout a few rounds. So Pantoja might take another decision. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Pantoja managed to persist his way into getting a sub. Even if it won't be easy, he will be determined, and an opportunity, an opening might be there. It just might. He might get a finish in this fight, similar to how he did against Kai Asakura, but of course, because, Kara-France is more established and proven in the UFC than Asakura, he'll last longer, his toughness will show, but Pantoja might eventually get him in the late rounds. If not, like I said, it'll probably be another decision win. And then, Juliana Pena, I don't think she gets finished by Kayla Harrison, but I do think it's going to be like a 5-round domination. Juliana doesn't have good takedown defense. She was losing against Sarah McMahon, who's got a very similar style to Kayla Harrison, but way worse than Kayla. She was able to have her way with Juliana Pena with her wrestling until she got tired and then got taken down and subbed. Amanda Nunes dominated that rematch, not just in the striking, but also in the wrestling. And Kayla Harrison is a better wrestler than Amanda Nunes, and a better wrestler than Sarah McMahon. She's bigger and stronger than both. And I just don't see Pena being able to defend those takedowns. I do think on the feet, Juliana has the best chance to win. I do think that she's a better striker. I think Pena's striking is definitely better than what the fans give her credit for. Because we can't forget, she did go toe-to-toe with Amanda Nunes. She did outstrike her in that first fight. She did piece her up in that first fight. Say what you want, call it a fluke if you will, doesn't matter, it still happened. And even in that second fight, like outside of moments where she was getting rocked and dropped, she was actually holding her own and doing quite well in some of the boxing exchanges. She was still finding a home for that jab, even though it wasn't as effective because Nunes went southpaw. She was still touching her up, marking up her face, and there did come a point in the fight where Nunes had to start mixing up the martial arts and wrestling, because I don't think she would have completely been able to dominate Pena in the striking for all 5. I do think Pena could have started racking up momentum in the stand-up had Nunes not wrestled, right? And even against Raquel, most of that fight was on the feet. I mean, her most dominant rounds were round 2 and 3 from the wrestling, but primarily that fight was a stand-up fight against Raquel, and she outstruck Raquel Pennington, who is supposed to be the superior boxer in that fight. So I do think in the stand-up, she will beat Kayla Harrison if it stays there, but she's got to keep it there, and I doubt she'll be able to. Now, in terms of cardio and 5-round experience, I mean, Kayla has been 5 rounds, but I do think that Pena does have the superior gas tank. But I don't think that's going to help her much in this matchup. I don't think that's going to serve her well. Because even if Kayla does fatigue in the fight, I know she's a big girl. She's got a lot of weight to cut, which will definitely affect her gas tank even more. I think she's still going to be able to get down Juliana Pena, even when tired, and just lay and pray. Just wet blanket her, even when gassed out, and just hold her down and get rest. Kind of like what Nunes was able to do in the second fight when she slowed down. And I don't think that Juliana is going to be able to submit her from off her back. I do think she'll be able to survive, because even though she got subbed by strikers in Germaine and Valentina, she admitted that she underestimated their ground games, and that's why she got caught. But when she was aware of the submission threat Nunes possessed, she fended off the rear naked choke in both fights. She fended off a guillotine from Raquel after getting dropped. And it's easier to submit someone when you rock them. Juliana showed good enough wherewithal to defend herself even when hurt and not get choked out by Raquel Pennington, right? So I do think Juliana actually does have pretty good sub defense, and I don't think Kayla's going to sub her. I don't think Kayla's going to ground and pound finish her either. She might do some damage early on. I know she's going to want to hurt Juliana. She might cut her up with elbows like Nunes did. But Juliana's a tough girl, man. She's not going to go away easy, if at all. So I do think she'll last till the final bell. She's just not going to be able to stop the wrestling. It'll be like the McMahon fight if it was a 5-rounder and without a comeback for Juliana Pena. But we'll see. I'm praying that Juliana Pena wins, man. That's one of my favorite women's MMA fighters ever. I would love to see her get a title defense. And if she could defend her belt against Kayla Harrison, there could be an argument that it might be just as big of a win as the Nunes win. I mean, I know that was a huge upset, but could you imagine if she defends her belt against the person who everybody expected her to steamroll her in her first defense? That's going to win a lot of respect from fans and maybe even Amanda Nunes. And if Nunes is to come out of retirement, I mean, Juliana beating Kayla might entice Nunes, but it might even the odds for a trilogy down the line. But we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to these fights. Not really, because I'm not excited to watch Juliana Pena lose. Okay, I already had to watch Grasso get domed by Valentina and Tatiana get embarrassed by Wei Li. I have a history of seeing my favorite women's MMA fighters get bashed and dominated. I don't want to have to sit through 5 rounds of hell of Juliana Kayla, but oh well. Let's just get it over with. I got 4 more months to enjoy Juliana Pena's second title reign. It was fun while it lasted, but I'm appreciating it more and enjoying it more than I did her first title reign. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you guys looking forward to UFC 316? And will it be any good? Peace out.